Let me ask you this, huh? Am I just not a star anymore? Am I just not talented like I was? Have I lost it? What is it? Am I not enough for you or something? Come on! Look at the state of me! Do you really think this is what is right for me? I'm the illustrious Tony Storm, damn it! Well known, respected, and admired all over the world for everything that I have done! This is not right!
Miss Storm, I'm Mariah Megan. I'm a huge fan.
But until then, you know what they say? Chin up, tits out, and watch for the shoe.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, all right? Make sure you log it in and you remember to check out my good friends over at the Broken Table Podcast live on YouTube. These are some of my good friends. They have some of the best topics going on. They're talking about a lot of good things. And also, they like to put over the Prince Nana dance. Hey, I swerve and I drive. I swerve and I drive. Hey. Don't forget, tune in, log on to the Broken Tables Podcast live on YouTube, my friends.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Broken Tables Podcast. I'm your host, Jeffrey Vegas, here as always with our co-host, King Rome. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for asking. Good to have you with us here tonight for our AEW Dynamite and Rampage review. What a 3 hours of wrestling last night, huh? I mean, I was blown away. I think I even wrote on Twitter, I was like, that was the best 3-hour show in a decade, maybe more.
Wow, with a caveat, I have to say that I didn't watch it 3 hours straight last night, which is why I couldn't do the watch along.
Yeah.
So I did end up watching Rampage today. I don't know how I feel about a 3-hour wrestling show, though. I mean, I feel like when I was watching Rampage tonight, and I was today, and I was sitting through it, I was just like, man, if this was at the end of that Dynamite, which was a stellar Dynamite, I don't know exactly how like into this Rampage I would have been still. I mean, the main event was phenomenal, but I mean, outside of that, I definitely would have been kind of sitting here like, okay.
You should have saw us on the watch along, man. The last hour flew by. All of us were like, wait a minute, it's already 15 minutes to the end of the show. We were like, wow. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it.
Well, yeah, I thought it was smart for them because the Dynamite main event runs into like 6 minutes of Rampage.
Exactly.
So by the time they're out of the ring, like you already have like 10 minutes in the books. So like,
yeah,
like they played with the numbers a little bit to make it seem a lot faster.
And that's where, like, if you watched Rampage separately, I can see how that first 10 minutes was probably like, what the fuck? Because they were cleaning up the ring. They were cleaning up all the confetti and the blood that was in the ring. So they had the Acclaimed go out there. We'll get to it later, but they just kind of had the Acclaimed go out there and cut a long-ass promo just standing there, and I thought it was kind of awkward. But we'll get to that later.
Sure.
But if you watched it, all the way through, I mentioned it. I was like, they're cleaning up from Dynamite, and everybody was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, so.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get started here, man. AEW Dynamite from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Possibly one of my favorite places that I have visited for an AEW event. Me and the wife went there for Forbidden Door 2. This show was incredible, I thought, from beginning to end. Started off with Tony Schiavone in the ring, calls out Mercedes Moné, the CEO. Her gear, my goodness, that gear looked absolutely incredible. She cuts a really good promo here. And dude, I have gotten to the point with Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I don't even care what anybody on there has to think anymore. Like when I hear people be like, "Oh, Sasha's a terrible promo," and I'm just like, "Were you watching the same thing as me?" I'm like, I just don't understand it sometimes. How I'm just befuddled sometimes. I thought this was a great promo by her, and then it led into that awesome video package of her running New Japan.
Right. So I would start with this before we even get into it. Something that I really loved about this episode of Dynamite, I'm going to point it out as we go, was well, number one, I loved the opening, and I loved the sports-based presentation behind the entire show. And again, I'll point it out as we go. But man, like this show opened in like I loved it so much. So you have Copeland showing up to the building. You got Okada rolling up in a Ferrari. Like
Yeah, that
you're
was
just
awesome.
making things feel so like everything just feels like a big deal. And it's like going through this Dynamite. It like at least we'll run through it and see if I'm like maybe I'll retract this, but like at least for Dynamite, every segment at least one person felt like a big deal. Like it just felt
Absolutely.
important. There was weight to it, and it just felt like it mattered so much. And I just think that that's really important to accomplish when you're making a pro wrestling show, and it's really special. Um, Now Mercedes. So here's the thing. This isn't hate. I don't want it to come off as hate because I think Mercedes is a superstar. The promo was good. It was fine. But that's not her strength. That's not like I don't
Exactly. Yeah.
need to see Mercedes go out and cut a 15-minute promo. Like that's not what I need from Mercedes. Like Mercedes is a superstar. She goes out there and her aura is what you go for. The in-ring talent is what you go for. Like, and that's not to say Mercedes is a bad promo. I think she's very talented and she's a superstar. She's added so much to the company just by being there for 2 weeks. And anyone who tells you otherwise, they're lying. like they're just being disingenuous.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't go out and say that this is like a barn burner promo. I mean, it was really good. Um,
No, yeah,
there were a
yeah.
few
I was
times.
just defending it as like it definitely wasn't bad. You know what I mean? Like I saw Twitter being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, she's terrible. That's why the E didn't let her cut promos." And I was like, "What? What are you talking
Look,
about?"
at the end of the day, we've hit a point. So I tweeted something not during this show, but last week's Dynamite, and I think it really rings true. I think we've hit a point where if you just don't get what Dynamite's trying to do or what AEW as a company as a brand is trying to do, if you just don't get it, you're not going to get it. I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
I think you're at this point like it doesn't interest you, or you're choosing not to. Like if you can't sit here and see the merits of what the company is able to bring to the world of professional wrestling, then you choose not to get it. And like at that point, there's not much point in, and that goes into the argument about where Tony Khan has, his critics would say he's fumbled in the passes. He may try to appease that other audience a little too much. And, I'm all for growing the audience, but you need to make sure your core audience is happy with the product, which definitely feels like what Tony Khan's doing right now. Just excellent programming week in and week out.
Yeah, I agree. So after this New Japan video package for Mercedes, the lights go out. Sky Blue and Julia Hart attack Mercedes. Mercedes holds her own until they grab some chairs. And then we get Statlander and Willow coming out to, I was going to say even the odds, but it turns it into 3 against 2. So I guess tilt the scales in Mercedes' favor. But after Julia and Sky Blue leave, Mercedes is standing there with Willow behind her, and Willow is holding the chair like she wants to obliterate Mercedes. What'd you think of that little spot there where Willow looked like she was possibly turning heel a little bit?
Honestly, I thought it was unnecessarily silly tension.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know. Like, look, like I just don't see the motivation as to why Willow would do it.
Agreed.
I mean, if there's a heel turn coming, I guess then that's how you justify it. But it just seemed a little out of place. Like, I can understand it when it's like a champion is involved, or if there is some sort of, I don't know, like I don't even know. I wouldn't even say history, because obviously Willow and Mercedes have history, but it just seemed a little out of place to me. It just felt like they were just drumming up a little bit of controversy, but
Yeah.
honestly, they could just lean on the ankle injury or the foot injury that Mercedes suffered. Like you could just go off that. Like you don't need to do the whole like, oh my god, was she gonna hit her with a chair? Like I don't think that was necessary. I think you could not do that because it did come off as a little corny in my opinion. But like you could do that angle. Like everything Mercedes has said to Willow, like in the Stokely and everybody promo, or like everything you've done, you cannot do that spot and it's still exactly like it means the exact same.
Yeah.
Because they have that built-in tension. Like Willow gave Mercedes Monet or caused Mercedes to have a career-threatening injury. It's like, and there you go. That's the story. Think back to when Mox concussed Hangman. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mox didn't have to do any silly tension building. He knocked him the fuck out,
Yeah.
and they turned it into one of the best storylines the company's ever had. So it's just like you already have it there. You don't need to build it anymore right there. It's
Yeah, I
fine as it
gotcha.
is. Let it cook. You don't need to put too much salt on it. Too much
I got you.
seasoning.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next up, it was the Young Bucks and Okada with Alex Marvez backstage. And looks like Alex Marvez needs to learn Japanese, Room?
I love this. The Bucks say that last week they said don't just call him Okada, call him by his God-given name, Kazuchika Okada. And so this week he does it. So it's like okay, and the EVPs Matthew and Nicholas say that he needs to show the respect and speak his native tongue of Japanese.
Speaking of respect, you said his name beautifully, by the way.
Thank you. Look, I said it the other week where I was kidding, where I was like, I really like saying it wrong because I like the way Kazuchika Okada sounds.
Yeah.
Like I know how to pronounce his name. It's just ignorant American over here, but it was kind of fun to say it that way. I like saying it. It's like Kazuchika. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
fun.
I do
No, it's
actually.
Kazuchika. I know it's Kazuchika. But no, it was great, man. It
Yeah.
was just it was really good. And man, again, like I said this earlier, and it's a good show when I'm just kind of beating a dead horse, I feel like, but it was just like Okada just felt like such a big deal here.
He
Like
did. He very much did.
he just feels so important going into this title match coming up in a few minutes. And it's just like he's just a star. Like he
Yeah.
just comes off as a star, and it's kind of insane. In 2024, like if you like 10, 15 years ago, what's up, Kook? Like 10 years ago, if someone was like, "Hey, like mainstream pro wrestling in North America is like Okada versus Eddie Kingston in prime time," it's like I don't know if a lot of people would believe you. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like it's crazy stuff. It's crazy.
This was a good little segment here right before the actual match with Okada and Kingston. And dude, I absolutely loved them showing Tony Khan and the Bucks in Gorilla.
Oh
That was
God,
probably
dude.
the first time I think I've ever seen them do that, and I lost it on the watch along. I was like, "Oh my god, let's go!" Like it was so cool. I loved that
Yeah,
spot.
it's such a big deal because Tony he doesn't go on camera like ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just not his thing. And which is like you again, you admire him for it because it could be very like, oh, the other company, they just throw all the owners and all the family out there. And Tony's like, no, we don't need to do that. But I loved it. It was a cheap pop moment for me
Yeah,
because I'm
very
watching
much.
it and I'm like the meme where it's like Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV, like it's Tony Khan.
Yeah.
What?
Rare
But no,
TK
great
sighting, right,
moment.
Coog?
Yeah, it was a great moment to have the Bucks there doing the producer thing, which they said they were gonna do,
Yeah.
and then just I thought that they were gonna cut to them standing like by a television in the back screen, but like no, they're in Gorilla, and you know what? It's like something else about it where it's like it's just something that I love about AEW is that, and I've said it before, but like they respect you as a viewer, like how often does WWE show Gorilla? You know what I mean? Like They don't. And
Yeah, they
I think
don't.
they've done it like one time, and like even then, like it was like not. But like they would never cut to Gorilla and show Triple Paul sitting there booking a 3-hour Monday Night Raw with 30-second women's matches. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like so it's like I love that. I love that they're like, hey, this is AEW. Like everyone knows where Tony Khan is. What's up, Michael?
What up, Michael?
You know, Tony, like it's just like, hey, man, like we're smart fans, and I don't mean to say that in a way that's like, oh, these smart marks or anything, but it's like,
No, yeah.
like we're just educated fans who know the product, you know, so respect our time, and they do that, and I
Yeah.
thought that was, I think again, it's a small little thing, but it's really cool. It's just like, hey, here's Tony Khan sitting at Gorilla running his pro wrestling show.
Yep, and it was good because it was mixed with the Bucks in full character. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoyed that spot a lot. Like call it a cheap pop if you want, but I loved it. I really did. And then another thing I really enjoyed here was after Okada's entrance, they cut to
Yeah.
Renee Paquette ringside, and it felt almost exactly like somebody on the ring or on the 50-yard line doing like the NFL reporting. You know how they cut to a reporter real quick on the on the side of the field sometimes? It felt just like that, and Renee cut a really good little, hyping up the match real quick on Eddie Kingston about to come out. And I was like, I don't think they've ever done that before. And I absolutely loved that as well. That was like back to back two things that I thought were really, really good here.
Bro, when I tell you, I fucking loved this
Yes.
shot. Like again, like I love the sports-based presentation of when pro wrestling does that. I love that so much. It just makes it feel that much more real. Like you said, you like took the words right out of my mouth. Like I felt like we were about to watch the start of the half with the sideline reporter talking about what was going on back,
Yeah.
in the locker rooms. Like it's just really cool, and the way they timed it was really well done because look, I'm a big entrance guy. I love wrestling entrances. You know what I mean? You have a great entrance, I'm all about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they didn't even like they could have done it in a way where like it would have taken away from Eddie's entrance, but like it wasn't. His music started up, then they cut to Renee,
Yeah.
and then the way the camera pans to have Eddie coming out, I was like, this is perfect. Like they couldn't have done that shot any better. And like kudos to them completely because I was absolutely fucking in love with that. Like I was just sitting here like watching the show because I did watch Dynamite, and I was just like, oh, this is just
Yeah, I'm glad you
it's so
mentioned the
good.
shot because the camera angle on Renee was absolutely incredible as well. It was just something that it was something new. It felt fresh, but it also felt like something you were familiar with. You were like, this is like the sideline reporter. Like, I really, really enjoyed that spot with Renee. Like, it was so good.
And so here was another little thing that I don't know if you picked up on or not, but they actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, I had never heard of this rule before for the Continental Championship, but did you notice that they added a stipulation to the title?
What do you mean?
So the Continental Championship has a title, or not a title, I'm sorry. The Continental Championship has a rule or a guideline to it that no attendants at ringside are allowed during these title matches for the Continental Championship.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Well, so it had to have been the first time they said it because so the EVPs when they're talking to Marvez and Okada, they're like, "Well, we can't be at ringside because of the rule of the title, but we'll be
Oh,
producing." And then when he's walking down to the ring, it's mentioned again that I can't. Someone on commentary, I think it was Excalibur. They were like, "Yeah, so the Continental Championship. Everyone remember that a rule of the title is that all participants, like all outside interference is banned. Everyone is banned from ringside during the Continental Championship match, which means it is a straight up pure wrestling, no bullshit title."
I like that. I didn't know that, and I must have been talking while they were explaining it because I didn't hear him say that.
Yep, that was something that did happen during it. So I actually, Jeff, I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I'm watching this match, and I think it's time to have a discussion that maybe some people don't want to have about AEW and its choices of venues that it tours.
Okay.
Um, so like obviously we watched this Toronto, great town. Um, Coca-Cola Coliseum. Last week, Boston, great town, great venue. I don't really want to see them going back to like middle of nowhere in Wisconsin.
No, I
If that makes
100% agree. I think I even
because
brought that up last night.
because it's like the last few weeks, like Revolution obviously is a pay-per-view, but whatever. It's a big it's a big arena in a big town, North Carolina. That's a pretty, I would say that's big enough where you can run North Carolina. But like we don't need to go to like a venue that only seats 1,500. You know what I mean? Like when
Mhm.
they go to DC, like they go to that venue, that venue seats like 2,000. All right, but like when you're running these big towns, when like keep running big towns, run the Torontos, run the Chicagos,
I agree.
run the LA, Philadelphia, New York, like Atlanta, like run these bigger venues in these bigger towns because the crowds are almost always 99% of the time like all the crowds in Texas too. Like the 99% of the time, they're just they fill up these buildings
Mhm.
and the crowd's always really hot for it. And so like I understand you want to get like a reach and stuff, but like there's got to be a better way to do it cuz like I don't want to see Dynamite run out of a building that seats 1,500. Yeah,
No, I completely
in the
agree.
middle of
Yeah.
Iowa. You know what I mean? Like I get it. Like you want to tour and you want to build that fan base and you want to do the local and like I get it. I really do, but like for the presentation of your show's sake, like when like the last month has just been killing it on the presentation level and a lot of that has to do with getting the right people in the right venue. And it's just like you just got to figure that out. Like you just I'm not saying start skipping towns because it's like obviously they want to go around, but like
No,
just
definitely
run
they
these
should
bigger towns,
be
run these bigger venues.
they should definitely have a ledger of this town, this was our number, and they should be cutting out the bottom 10, I would assume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like what I would do is like kind of what you're saying. I would like look back at your calendar, like okay, over the last like 30 weeks, we ran these 30 towns. Here are the bottom 10 that let us that did not perform that where we wanted it to be.
See ya.
Like, okay, let's try 10 different markets or 10 different towns and see if we can pick up a good crowd there. And like, look, like that doesn't mean you never go back to
No,
it.
you rotate every other year.
Yeah, I'm just like again, like always hit your big towns,
Yeah,
but then like
it's
so there's
supply and
what
demand.
52 weeks
If
a
the
year,
people
like
if the demand for the people's not there, you take away the supply for a little while, and then the demand will come back.
yep.
All right, but this was a decent match.
This is good. I liked it.
Yeah, you liked it. I was
Oh yeah.
expecting a little bit more of these dudes to absolutely beat each other up, but it was still a good match. I wrote down, it was good. But just something about it didn't really strike me as like one of those types of matches. You know what I mean? But it wasn't bad by any means.
Oh yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was like a 5-star classic.
No.
It was I liked it. I thought it was good. And again, like sometimes the right venue, the right crowd, the right presentation, that can help. And
Yeah.
it definitely did.
Well, I still think
Um,
Toronto was fantastic last night. It was just just something about it didn't hit quite for me, but like neither guy had a bad match. It wasn't a bad match. There was just something missing for me. I don't know what it was.
it's understandable.
But Okada hits that beautiful Rainmaker for the 1-2-3. And they show Tony Khan again backstage in Gorilla with the Bucks. And they're like, see our guy, and he was like, yeah. It was great. I loved it. So your new continental, right?
Continental, yeah.
Continental champion. How do I say it?
Kazuchika Okada.
Kazuchika Okada.
No, not Chuk. You said Kazuchika. It's Kazuchika.
Kazuchika. There we go.
Just one. It's just one word, Jeff. It's just go. You just
Kazuchika.
do it.
There we go.
There you go. There you go.
I got it. I got it. Yeah.
You got it.
This was great. During Okada's celebration, we get some music hitting. And it is Pac the Bastard showing up on the stage, looking for some trouble. Man, what a fucking match that's gonna be.
Yeah. That's that's gonna be something else. Let me tell you. It's gonna be great. And again, like the company's just doing great business, and that's it's great business. The
I
vibes are high. The vibes are
agree.
definitely high.
100% agree. Next up, we had Swerve Strickland with Renee Paquette issuing an open challenge. Swerve was saying he was inspired by Mike Tyson training for his next fight. I hope Mike Tyson fucking knocks Jake Paul's head off of his goddamn shoulders. But we will see.
Unfortunately, boxing is kind of a joke now.
It
It's
kind
really
of
unfortunate.
is with that promotion,
It's
man.
really unfortunate because boxing is like the gentleman's sport. Like I'm totally a believer in that. Like I would rather watch like a great boxing match than a great MMA fight. That's just me. But excuse me. But like boxing's kind of a joke.
Could you
They've kind of made it
imagine
into a joke.
if Tyson was like, yeah, man, I'll just, we'll just have a nice little boxing match for 6 rounds and we'll make some money. And then in round 1, Tyson's just like, just fucking mauls him, dude.
Bites his ear off.
Oh, no. Have you seen Tyson training lately? He hasn't stopped training ever. He still looks like a maniac in the ring. It's insane.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy.
Like, Jake Paul's going to get in the ring on that night and be like, hell yeah, I'm making millions. And then he's going to look across and see Mike Tyson and be like, oh, fuck, that's actually Mike Tyson. Like,
Yeah, that's actually Mike Tyson. It's Michael Tyson.
oh, man. So Swerve puts an open challenge. That was very good. I liked it. What'd you think of Swerve's little open challenge here?
It was good. I mean, yeah, he just, get him on the card. And he feels like a big deal. It was good.
Absolutely. Next up was Willow cutting a promo, essentially kind of giving an excuse for her little chair stunt earlier, saying, put her in a street fight and put a weapon in her hands and she's a whole different person. And after last night, she is she's had the most street fights of any woman on the roster. That's kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think she has now. So Mercedes steps in to say hello to Chris Statlander. They shake hands. Statlander,
What a moment.
Yeah,
What a
that was a
by
great
the way.
moment right there.
That's a special moment. Like as a big Statlander fan, which I am, like I love getting Mercedes in there to just kind of like meet the locker room type
Yeah.
moments. Like I know some people it wears a little thin with them, but like you just get these really cool stare downs and like all the potential matches where it's like with Riho last week and then Statlander this week.
That's a good point. Good point.
It's great.
Yeah.
We also just need to give credit to just how incredible Stokely Hathaway is.
Oh, he's so funny, dude. I love that
This
guy.
man was starstruck by Mercedes.
Yeah,
the whole time she was there. And then as she's walking away, he's like, "Hi, I'm Stoke." Oh. And then he's like, "Why are you upset, Will? You broke her ankle."
Yeah.
You could just nothing to be afraid of. And she's like, "Dude, stop, man."
And then the
Tough
look
subject.
he gave was like Family Matters. He looked like Steve Urkel for a second. I was like, oh, dude.
Did I do that? Oh
Very good. Very good promo here. Next up was Hook versus Jericho. And man, I wish you would have been here last night for the watch along because we had Macho and he was like, this match is about to be an absolute burner. It's going to be the best match on the show. And I was like, man, get out of here. And dude, halfway through the match, I'm sitting here with my jaw in my lap. We were all absolutely loving Hook fucking destroying Jericho with 1,000 suplexes. As much as we're, we have this kind of a go away heat with Jericho right now, he keeps coming out here and putting on bangers. I got to say this match was fucking awesome.
So here's where I'm going to have to not really disagree with you, but I have to disagree.
Yeah.
So this match was great. I don't have an issue with the match itself. Hook absolutely just devastated Jericho.
It was
and like
awesome.
I love the storytelling behind it where Hook's mindset is like Hook went into this match with a game plan, and that was I'm going to pick him up and I'm going to drop him on his fucking head because he's not mobile and he can't move and I can do that. So I love that, and I thought it was great. Here's the problem. Here's where I have the issue. That finish does not match this match at all. Like, it does not compute how we went through this match and all of these things, and that ending is the ending that they gave us. And that's where the problem lies with me. So here's my problem, right? So as we're talking about, Hook manhandles Jericho in this match. Like, this was not a back and forth. Like Jericho got a little bit of offense in, but this was a primarily Hook was running the match. Like Jericho did not stand a chance. So like, why is it that instead of, so there's a point in the match, right? Like when they go to the finish and Hook is trying to get him into the red rum. And Jericho is fighting it. Jericho, like they're on the ropes, they're on the turnbuckle, and Jericho is trying to get out of this red rum, right? And then he grabs him, and they're walking around, and he's struggling. So that means that Jericho is getting, like, Jericho's not getting buried here. Jericho is fighting out of Hook's finisher, and so he finally gets it in. He gets the red rum in, and instead of having a finish where that finisher is made to look strong by beating Jericho clean, Jericho powers out of the red rum after being devastated this entire match. Note at this point that the crowd turns on. I was actually talking to someone on Twitter about this, that if you're watching the match and you're listening, as soon as Jericho like Superman's out of the red rum, the crowd instantly started booing. They were like, this is not the finish that we want for this match. And, it's like, and then they finish with a roll up. Now, like, look, like I know you make the joke about the roll up, and I really don't mind a roll up in wrestling. Like I get wanting to protect your talent, and I get that like the roll up is a fine way to end matches most times. This is not one of those times. I'm sorry, but you let Hook devastate Jericho for, I mean, way longer than it had to be. I thought the match actually was a little too long, but Hook was, it was like 99% Hook, 1% Chris Jericho.
Dude.
And the finish for this match is Chris Jericho powers out of Hook's finisher, and then Hook has to schoolboy roll up to beat Chris Jericho. And like, I just thought that was just like, in my mind, I have to think that that's a Chris Jericho call, where it's like, just put the kid over, for fuck's sake. Like, and I'm not trying to say that Jericho doesn't ever do that for people. Like, again, like Chris Jericho is one of the greatest of all time, but like, you're just overstaying your welcome. Cause it's like, why could you not have just done the business? Like, you let Hook power you around for 15 minutes. Like, just let the dude, like, okay, so you don't want to tap out. Let the dude hit another suplex and let him pin you clean. Why do you do this fucking roll up bullshit? It really rubbed me the wrong way. And it just like, it didn't do anything for Hook, in my opinion. Like, the match, Hook powered through it, but like, I don't know, Jericho broke out of the red rum and he got beat by a schoolboy.
So I seriously do agree with you here now that you kind of went through it all like that, because normally when somebody wins with the schoolboy roll up, they were the one getting their ass kicked most of the match. Like a Darby, for example. Darby gets a lot of roll up finishes, because he gets his ass beat. In this one, I honestly believed at one point, Rome, that they were recreating the Brock Lesnar versus John Cena Suplex City. I thought Hook was fucking suplexing Jericho 15, 16 times. I didn't count it, but it had to be at least 10.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was I was blown away by it. And now that you say it, the roll up pin does, it doesn't make a lot of sense, because that's usually how the guy who is losing the match wins. So I'm going to have to agree with you a little bit, but in the moment I was blown away by the match, man. I really enjoyed it. But I think you're right. That moment where Jericho powered out of the red rum, that should have been the finish there. Because I don't know if you caught this, but this was Hook's first win by pinfall. He has won all of his matches by submission. So for the schoolboy to be his first pinfall, that's a little like, I'm kind of with you now.
Yeah, it's just like you said, the schoolboy or the roll up is usually used by somebody who's like winning by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
If you watch that match and you hit pause right before Jericho breaks out of the red rum, or you know what, we'll even say you hit pause before Jericho even gets put in the red rum. Like, and you're like, okay, you've watched this match up until the last 30 seconds. Who's winning this match? You're saying Hook is about to drop him on his head and beat his ass and pin him.
Yeah.
Like this finish just made no sense, and it was so unnecessary for Chris Jericho to be protected. Why are we protecting him at this point? Like, just do the business, man. Like, just do the job. Like, and like, wins and losses matter, but it's also like anyone who's watched WWE at all, over the years and fell out of love with it will tell you also, like, sometimes it's also how you win. Like,
yeah,
it's not always that you win, it's how you win as well. And And I just think that like if you you watch this match and like you said, I was having a great time during this match because Hook was on point with these suplexes. He was just dropping Jericho on his head. It was a very physical, very violent looking match. Everything looked great. But like you just go to that finish and like I'm kind of just left scratching my head. I'm just like I don't know why this is the finish that we chalked up here. It just the only thing that can come to mind is Jericho didn't want to put him over clean. Like
So
that's where it
here's the
comes from.
only thing I can think of. I think Jericho wants another match with Hook now, right? And we're gonna get to see Hook's actual pinfall finisher. Because this was the perfect opportunity. If you're gonna give him his first pinfall win, he needs a finisher that is some sort of a suplex. Like I even wrote down, I was like, Hook is the new human suplex machine. You know what I mean? After that match, I am absolutely giving him his dad's moniker of the human suplex machine. And he needs something of the sort to be the finisher. So I really feel like if he would have dropped Jericho on his head with some sort of crazy suplex and that would have been our finisher, this would have been incredible. Absolutely. It would have been a
Sure.
10 out of
I
10,
agree.
you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, for sure. But
I'm still not going to knock it too much for that, but I do agree with you. You know, the roll up was a little awkward now that we talk about it. But still a great match. Next up, we had Adam Cole cutting a promo on Wardlow, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Rome. This was probably the first thing that they've done with Adam Cole since his return that I enjoyed. I actually really liked the attitude that he had. He felt like a villain from a cheesy B movie, but it's still he felt like a villain, and I kind of believed what he was saying to Wardlow. You know?
I mean, sure. I mean, but I have serious questions slash issues. So if the next segment that includes Wardlow does not include Wardlow telling the Undisputed Kingdom to fuck off, like I don't know, I don't know a nicer way to say it. Like I'm sorry, but like you don't let Wardlow cut two promos like he did 2 weeks in a row. You don't let Wardlow try to claw his way back up to stardom to basically say, "All right, Bucko, you lost your title shot. Your job is to be the muscle of this faction now." Like, no, I'm sorry. If they go through this, and I'm sure it could lead to a tease of him eventually leaving. Like, I'm sure maybe it's a build where eventually he's like, "Yeah, no, screw this, I'm done." I can't justify in the kayfabe how Wardlow tolerates it for 2 seconds.
No,
I would love to hear the justification behind it because Wardlow, who's already been a part of this, he's already played this game. Like he's already played the faction game with MJF and everything. He knows how this goes. He knows what it's like to be second fiddle. Honestly, and it's why we criticized it the whole time, as he should have known the whole time.
yeah.
Like Wardlow from the get-go should have known that this is stupid. And like maybe you could argue, okay, well maybe Wardlow's just smarter than them and he's using them. Okay, well now you're at a point in the storyline where Adam Cole is saying your singles run is done. You are going to make sure that Roderick Strong and the Kingdom defend their titles successfully and hold on to their gold. That is your job now. I'm sorry, but I can't see Wardlow. I can't buy Wardlow just being like, okay, boss. Like, no, that's not gonna
No.
happen.
I see him
Like
costing both of them their belts, or all three of them. I see him costing them their
maybe.
belts. Possibly the tag titles first, and he's gonna be like, "Oh my God, what did I do? I'm so sorry, Adam Cole." And then the second time, he's gonna do it and just smile, and that'll be the end of it. That's where I think we're heading.
I hope so, because it's like if we try to like bleed this, like if we try to like bandage this wound here, and it just keeps bleeding for like another 2 months,
Ugh,
where they're like, oh, Wardlow, he's doing what his masters have told him to do. Like that's stupid.
yeah.
Stop it.
This is when we'll know Tony has refused to change because you know how he doesn't like to pivot sometimes when the fans are adamant about something. So
And it's a shame because it's like I think back on the storyline with the Undisputed Kingdom and everything, and it's like it's really a shame that it just didn't work because Adam Cole is fantastic. I love Adam Cole
yeah,
and I love Wardlow. I love Roddy. I like the Kingdom. I wouldn't say I love the Kingdom, but like, they're a great tag team. You know what I mean? And it's just like it just doesn't work. It just doesn't, and it hasn't, and it sucks that it doesn't, but it just doesn't.
yeah. Like, I remember when we first saw that Undisputed Kingdom graphic, I was like, "Ooh, that looks cool," and then it just instantly wasn't. You know what I mean? It just, sorry, it
Yeah.
just doesn't hit. You know, you're not gonna make it hit. It's just not gonna happen.
Stop trying to make it a thing.
Yeah, stop trying to make it a thing. That's great.
It'll never be a thing.
Next up, we get in the ring with Tony Schiavone, Will Ospreay. My God, this guy is absolutely electrifying. He comes out of the tunnel just bouncing off the ceiling, like reminded me of Luffy from One Piece, dude. It was really funny, just the way he was bouncing down the fucking ramp. This guy is an absolute star. That entrance where they chant his name, you know, Ospreay, Ospreay, and he points to the sections of the arena. That shit was it gave me goosebumps, like legit.
So like, I got into an argument with someone on Twitter the other day.
Oh,
Because
jeez.
I called. Yeah, I know. It's just I don't know why. I don't know why people. I don't know why these Fed fans try to pick fights with me. I don't know. But like, I called Triple H an all-time loser and overall a failure as an evaluator of talent. Um, and my this thought came from a response from Meltzer, where Dave had said that Triple H is like apparently like when they offered Will Ospreay a contract. I can't help you. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, I made that for it.
When they offered Will a contract, they thought they were just trying to sign some workhorse wrestler guy. And now they're learning that Will Ospreay is also a fucking star. This guy comes out here and he's so charismatic and he's so convicting in his promos and he's just so good on that side of the microphone that like apparently like Triple H had no idea. He's like I can't remember the exact Dave quote, but Dave was like Triple H is probably kicking his own ass right now. He's probably like, "Holy shit, what the fuck? This is not the guy I thought I offered a contract to." And it was just like, "Yeah, dude, you're a bad evaluator of talent. You didn't see this coming. You didn't know Will Ospreay was a star. You thought you were going to sign Will Ospreay and throw him into a gimmick battle royal on night 1 of the buy one get one, extravaganza? No. No. The dude's a star. And now you're realizing that you can't just offer people lesser contracts because surely they'll sign with us because we're the WWE. We have WrestleMania. Well, AEW is all in, so
Dude,
you don't really have that
that
anymore.
that just really showed how out of touch they are with the actual, like, what would be the word? The regular wrestling fan or the casual wrestling fan, I guess would be the way to put it, cuz I mean, it just shows like they don't even pay attention outside their bubble. Like,
No, they don't. They don't. And then that's the problem. And it's like, look, like I can't speak for every AEW fan. We've talked about it like ad nauseum here on the podcast, but it's like I didn't just wake up one day and decide that I hated WWE. Like, and I can't stress that enough. I don't do it for the lulz. I don't just go on Twitter and start shit for the sake of doing that because I don't like that negativity, actually. I don't like that. I
oh
want
yeah.
to talk about things I like with people who like the same things I like, and we can be critical, but I want us to have a common understanding where we like the same thing and want it to be good. So it's just like I have no real reason to hate the Federation outside of the fact that they almost fucking made me hate pro wrestling. Like I would not be watching pro wrestling if they were the only game in town at this point.
Uh,
Like it's years of watching and years of feeling like I was ripped off and cheated as a customer. That my time is spent was not respected. That it was wasted. Like that's and that casual fan, you know, that they hate AEW because they don't know anything about the product. They don't watch it, they don't know it, they don't have
dude,
any reason to hate it outside the fact that it's not their product.
every
And
tweet
it's
that I
like, we
see
are
hating,
not the same. Yeah,
every
we are
tweet
not
that I
the same.
see that's hating, I'm just like, your entire tweet, like you're explaining your hatred, and it makes no sense because it's obvious you didn't watch. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they try to say things that didn't happen in the show, and I'm just like, you didn't even watch it. What are you talking about? Like, it's just
Yeah.
wild, man.
So it's just like, yeah, so like it's an embarrassment. Like they can't evaluate talent, and Will Ospreay comes in. And again, very similar to what I was saying earlier about Okada and Eddie Kingston. Like we have Will Ospreay on primetime television in North America, just being a fucking star. I'm sorry I'm cursing a lot tonight. I don't know. Maybe I was fired up. This is a great show.
Yeah.
But like, Will Ospreay just out there being a star, and like Triple H is over there just like, what?
I had no idea. Why didn't you guys tell me he was such a star?
You know what, Jeff? Hold on. I'm gonna do a Triple H impression. Give me 1 second. Hold on. I actually got something for this. Hold on. This is ridiculous. Oh, it doesn't even fit. Look at this. Here we go. What do you mean? He's a star. What?
We're just gonna focus on the excellent show we had on over the weekend.
I haven't even read the lawsuit. We just had a great Royal Rumble, guys. What are you talking about?
Oh shit. So Will Ospreay cuts an awesome promo on Danielson and says, you know, you say that I can't fill your shoes, and he says, want me to prove it? And he calls out Katsuyori Shibata. Rome, on that watch along, there was a moment when I was just watching this promo and the light bulb went off over my head that he was about to challenge Shibata.
Yeah.
And my like eyes started watering, dude. I was like, no fucking way I'm getting Will Ospreay versus Shibata. Like I started like having a panic attack. I cannot believe we're getting that match. 7 years ago, Shibata whooped Will Ospreay's ass. This is going to be so good. I can't believe it.
Yeah, dude, it's special. It's some real special stuff. We're getting some great matchups here. I mean, it's an all-time roster. And you know, we've talked about it, and it just factually is like these money matches. Tony is just booking them on a weekly basis on Dynamite. And like you have just such a stacked roster that you can do that. You just wake up and be like, you know what? We're gonna have Okada versus Eddie Kingston. And then the next week, we're going to do Will Ospreay versus Shibata. And I just think that's insane.
And you know what? I want to talk about Danielson real quick here, since he's part of this storyline. So I've also been seeing, like, this is a reason why I'm just not paying attention to these people on Twitter anymore. I'm seeing, like, someone said, don't try to tell me that there's a story between Will and Danielson. And I'm like, what on earth are you talking about? So I'm going to kind of just put it out there because if it's hard for some people to understand, maybe it is. So Danielson has told us earlier this year, or I believe it was late last year, that 2024 is his last year full-time wrestling, right? And Tony Khan has given him the ability to wrestle whoever he wants as long as Tony has the ability to give it to him. So every week, Danielson says, hey, Tony, I've always wanted to wrestle this guy. Let's make this one happen. And that's what's happening every week. So Danielson called out Shibata and defeated him in an amazing, absolute masterclass of a fucking wrestling match. And then he called out Will Ospreay, who is also someone Danielson has always wanted to face. And then Ospreay calls out Shibata to prove to Danielson that he can fill his shoes. You see what I'm saying here? Like, the story's there. You just gotta, like, you don't have to even dig for it. It's there. You just gotta pay attention and actually watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, honestly, I think it's insane to me to think there's no story here because not only what you said is 100% true, right? Like there is a built-in story here with Danielson and his last, year as a wrestler, his full-time year. Like that's all true. But then you add on the fact that these guys have had back and forth promos for the last 3 weeks. Like they're building right now.
Yeah, exactly. They're also building it now. Yes.
Again, like the back and forth, and you know what the back and forth is centered around? It's around their legacies. Danielson says, you can never walk a mile in my shoes. Like you say, you look up to me, but you can never aspire to be what I've been. Not because you're not a great wrestler, but because you haven't lived my life. You haven't gone through my journey of being told you're never going to wrestle again. You know what I mean? And then Will comes back the next week and he says, you're right. I couldn't fit into your shoes because your shoes were too small. You wanted to be a star in Japan, but you couldn't cut it in Japan.
That was such a good line.
Oh my God. And I'm just like, this is a storyline where it's like And it's funny. I was about to say, and Koo just said it. Like, this is a sports-based storyline. This is not like, you know, General Hospital,
Y-
like soap opera.
I was
Like, not
just
every
gonna say that.
storyline. Not every storyline. Like, look, here's the thing. I like dramatic storylines in pro wrestling. That's not me saying I don't want them, but like, not every storyline needs to be the same thing. It's like you could just have two guys who many people would say that each of them is the greatest of all time, the greatest going today. And it's just like, what would happen if these two guys came in, had a match? Like, what would happen? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like let's say like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson, like man, what if these guys had a boxing match? You know what I mean? Like, if Jordan and LeBron, did one on ones, like
Yeah.
how would that go? You know what I mean? It's like that. It's like there is a basic storyline built into these guys that, like, hey, both of these guys are like, it's silly to say, but these are both the best going today. Like, both of these guys lay claim to that in
Yeah.
different ways. And it's just like, that's the story. Like, that's the story. It's two of the greatest wrestlers of all time, two of the greatest wrestlers that are still active today, saying, "Hey, like, on my way out, we should have a match to see who's better."
Yeah.
And then they've been building around that concept as we've gone. And again, it's like I've said it before. I'll say it again. Like, if you don't get it, you're just choosing not to get it. I think. Like,
That's
that's
how I
just
feel too.
at this point, you're just choosing not to get it.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Next up was a video package for Cope versus Cage 3. Decent video package. Is what it is. Next up after that, we had Toni Storm and Mariah May versus Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa. Great, great tag team match, dude. And all I can continue to think about is, I know some people don't want them, but I am an absolute proponent, I guess is the word. I want AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. And I think this was a great example of a tag team match that, if you put one quality women's tag team match together, it can be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. They're definitely giving enough attention to the division where it could definitely happen. I don't know if that's going to be a plan for them or not, but I mean, yeah, I thought this was a good match. I kind of feel the way about this match the way you felt about the Okada Kingston match. I feel like this match didn't really strike the high chord that I would have expected from it. Um,
Fair.
but I mean, I enjoyed it all the same, though. I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I loved it. Thunder Rosa looked amazing. Deonna Purrazzo looked really good. But Thunder Rosa gets the victory over Toni Storm with another roll up, by the way, which is, now that I think about it, kind of written down here, another reason we should not have done the roll up in the hook match. So, there's that. But
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's
Toni
true.
Storm takes the pin here from Thunder Rosa. I don't think she's going to be happy with Mariah May after this, but we shall see. What's up, Macho? Says we need more women's matches on every show. Well, if we get a 3-hour Dynamite, we will be absolutely getting more women's matches. So
I don't think I want a 3-hour Dynamite.
I'm telling you, after last night, I was absolutely sold, and I'm pretty sure the network's going to be as well, because Rampage held a 500,000 rating last night. That's
Look,
way over its norm.
here's the thing, and I think that if you are WBD, if you're the network, you definitely want that third hour to follow Dynamite and not be on Friday nights. Like, I think that's definitely true. And I'm not disputing that. I'm not arguing that. My concern would be on a weekly level, like 3 hours of anything is a lot. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think that I would be concerned for the quality and the flow of the show. I mean, like I said, when I was watching Rampage today, right? And I'm watching it and I'm just like, man, if I was watching this immediately after that incredible I Quit match, like, I would be so fatigued. If we were doing the watch along last night, right? And if I was there and I'm watching this first like half hour of Rampage, I'm not even saying it was bad. I thought it was a good episode of Rampage. But like, I can't sit here and tell you that I would be jazzed for that first half hour of the 10 o'clock hour.
You know,
I would have been ready to fucking take a nap.
I'm
Not take a
telling
nap,
you,
but like
I feel
chilled out.
you, but chat can, you know, if any of you guys that were here last night can support me here, we were all still amped. I swear, we were all like, yeah, let's go, more Rampage, let's go. Like we were on a pay-per-view, like a mini pay-per-view high, bro. We really were.
I hear you, but like, can you do that every week? Is that going to be
That's a good
sustainable?
point. That is a good point.
That's my question, because here's the thing: we sit there and watch 4-hour pay-per-views once a month or whatever. Like that's one thing, but could you imagine doing that every single week?
Now that is
It's
a good
like-
point, but think about what if Rampage was the second hour and this was a 3-hour Dynamite. I feel like that would have been a perfect episode of Dynamite.
Wait, I'm sorry. What
So
were you saying?
imagine that third hour, which was Rampage. Imagine they
Uh-huh.
put that in the middle, and that would have been the second hour of an actual 3-hour Dynamite. That would have been fantastic.
I just don't know, man. I'm very, and look, like, I don't mean it in a negative way, again, because it was a good show. I enjoyed it a lot. I just don't know if I'm a believer in the 3-hour every week model.
Yeah.
I just
feel
don't
you.
know if I just don't know if I'm a fan of it. I don't know if I'm a believer in the model personally. I mean,
Raw has been
I just
there for
think-
a long time. You can't really argue too much, you know.
look, yeah, but like how eventually, I mean, I understand it's WWE and these are two different companies, but like
Yeah.
you see what happens when you have to kill 3 hours of television every week in a row. Like they just end up just throwing anything in that middle, and you know what? Like you remember less too. There's less memorable things that happen on these 3-hour shows. Like
Yeah.
when you have 2 hours, right? Like here's the thing, and this is why I'm even like a fan of the 1 hour model, right? I think some people don't like it, but like I think 2 hours is just perfect because it's like you get in and like the show just feels jam packed. Like if you book it correctly, a 2-hour show is just like holy shit, like how did they fit all this in 2 hours? Like you just feel from start to finish like it is just like oozing great content, right?
I agree.
And I just feel like if you spread that out, like maybe the matches are just as good, but like I don't know, I just think pacing becomes an issue at that point. And I don't know, I mean, like to this point we haven't seen anyone do a 3-hour wrestling show on a weekly basis well, consistently. It just hasn't happened yet. So like maybe I'm wrong, and if
No, I
they
agree
decide
with
to do it, they're gonna do it.
I'll
But
tell you this, we have the roster to do it. If anybody can pull it off, this is the roster to do it. We got an absolutely stacked women's roster. And then after these new acquisitions, you know, Okada, Osprey, Takeshita's not necessarily new, but like that's just, he's insane. Like gonna have Kenny
Yeah,
coming
and
back hopefully within the next year. Like this roster is jam packed.
and again, I'm not arguing whether they will do it or not, because like again, like a lot of it makes a lot of sense for them. They film Rampage right after Dynamite anyway. Just keep rolling.
Yeah, just do
stay
it.
live. And again, like I'm not arguing it.
The
Although I will
500K.
say this. I will say this. I would just scrap Rampage and just have Dynamite be 3 hours. I
Oh,
wouldn't do, like,
absolutely. That should be what happened, of course. Yes.
yeah.
'Cause
But like
the-
also it's just I just don't know.
I mean,
Just
if you
don't
look
know
at what
if it'll
happened
work.
last night, Rampage held 500K, and that is well above what Rampage has been getting on Friday night. So that should be a no-brainer for the network.
Yeah, but again, like I totally get all the reasons why they would do it and should do it, and I get from a business perspective why you would do it. But you know, luckily I'm not a businessman. I'm a wrestling fan reviewing the
Yeah.
shows. So like from a perspective of is this show enjoyable to watch and digestible? I don't know if they will be. I just don't know.
Yeah, I understand. We'll see. Next up, we had Swerve's open challenge, and his challenger turned out to be the Butcher. I was really surprised to see the Butcher come out, and you know, pleasantly surprised. I like the Butcher. Would you call this a squash? I wrote down semi-squash because the Butcher got a little bit of offense in, but Swerve just looked like an absolute demon here and just obliterated the Butcher with the house call, the stomp off the top rope, and he finished with a new submission I haven't seen him do. I didn't get a name for it, but it was a bicep crusher, kind of like AJ Styles' calf crusher. This was a bicep crusher. And he taps out the Butcher. I thought this was good. It made Swerve look really strong doing an open challenge. He calls out Joe. And Joe comes out to almost accept Swerve's challenge, but he's interrupted by Don Callis and Rome. This was the loudest I have heard the boos for Callis in a long time, and it might have been the loudest it's ever been. These boos were so loud, I almost could not hear anything Callis was saying.
Yeah, the heat, man, it was something else. The level of heat that Don was getting there, and again, it just goes back to my point. It's like, just run these bigger towns, man.
Yeah.
Just run these bigger towns. Like, just stop running these backwater towns.
I agree.
I don't mean to be rude, but it's just like, you know, if you're just not drawing as a venue, like, just stop running them.
Yeah. Just do it less, once every couple years. You know what I mean? Make it to where when it's coming around, it's like, oh man, I got to go see that this year, Just it is what it is.
Right. Hopefully it's not getting
Real
picked up
quick,
on the
everybody. I'm sorry.
No, I said hopefully it's not getting picked up on the microphone. Someone is outside, like, blasting their car horn. I don't know if it's getting picked up, but
No,
it's
I
loud.
can't hear it. You should be good.
Okay, good.
But everybody in chat, please smash that like button for me if you don't mind. It really helps the channel get out there to some more people. And thank you guys very much for hanging out with us tonight. Don Callis, man, nuclear heat, absolutely just the loudest boos I have heard on AEW in a long time. Somehow convinces Swerve to face Takeshita before Samoa Joe. So that's going to be another absolutely fucking phenomenal match we're going to get. Swerve versus Takeshita. Yes, please.
What up, Coach?
What up, Coach?
Coach, have you checked out Warzone Mobile yet? How's that going? That launched
We
today.
didn't. I don't think we've touched that. I think he might have the boy on it though. You got Mason on the mobile? If there's zombies on it, I'm sure Mason's been on the mobile.
I don't think it has zombies, but it's got cross progression with your actual account, so
Yeah,
you
I
can like
saw
find
that.
your weapons on the go.
I
So
saw that.
yeah, that's gonna be great for Call of Duty players. Like
Yeah.
that's so great for them. Like it's gonna be big.
Absolutely. All
But-
right, and next up, it was time for the main event. Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage 3 in an I Quit match. And man, this match was incredible. Two 50-year-old guys that, again, fucking Twitter, I don't want to see two 50-year-olds. Shut the fuck up. This was absolutely fucking amazing. I could not believe how good this match was. And just imagine sitting there being Triple L or Vince and being like, we let both these guys go thinking they could never have a match like this. This was awesome, bro. I was absolutely in love with this.
Wait, is that guy with the rat face? Is he?
Oh man,
Vince,
dude,
are you getting this, pal?
I loved every spot that they put into this. There was a spot in this where Copeland goes up to a fan and rips a Boston jersey, the
Bruins, right? Yeah,
Bruins jersey off of this fan, puts it on Christian Cage, and then another fan takes his own Toronto Maple Leafs jersey off and hands it to Copeland, and they have a hockey fight. I just sat back like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm a huge hockey fan. I'm sure you are too, but we're kind of painful Flyer fans, but it is what it is. Dude, this was awesome. The patriarchy gets involved. Daddy Magic, Daniel Garcia get involved. Just everything about this. I loved the whole thing.
Yeah, man, it was an excellent match, and look, man, it just goes to show you, like, these older guys, they can do it. Like, we could definitely have these older guys wrestling in AEW, and people miss the point. It's not an age thing. When I sit here and I say I don't want to see Chris Jericho on my TV anymore, when I sit here and say I don't want to see the Hardys anymore, it has nothing to do with their age or their legacy or anything like that. It's the fact that, what are you bringing to the product now? What are you bringing to the table? Because when I look at other guys in that age group, when I see, obviously Sting is retired, but like when I see Sting a month ago at that high of a level at his age, when I see, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, or as Taz called him on commentary, Edge. I don't know if you caught that.
Oh, I did not. Damn.
No, so at the beginning of the match, Copeland does a baseball slide to Christian Cage to push him out of the ring, and Taz is like, "Man, you just slid right on the edge, slid right." He's like, "Oh, sorry, Copeland." He's like, "It was bound to happen."
Oh man, it was bound to
Um,
happen.
yeah, that's what Taz said. But man, no, like this was excellent. This was just so good. It was great, and it's why I'm glad AEW exists, right? Because like obviously Edge goes out, he has his last match with Sheamus, and that's great for him and stuff. But like a moment like this tonight, like Copeland did a promo for Twitter. He was like, "This night's a night that I take with me to the grave." He's like, he came out and like the fans are singing Alter Bridge,
Oh,
Metalingus with
I
him,
can't
right?
believe I forgot to mention that.
And it was beautiful. And then like he gets to go in there in his hometown of Toronto and have a match, an amazing match with his best friend of 40 years. It's just like,
Dude,
they're both operating at a high level, and it's great. It's
when
so good.
when Adam Copeland's music stopped and the crowd kept singing, I was saying it on the show last night. You can't force that. You know what I mean? That's something that you can't make the crowd do. Like, there's nothing AEW could have done backstage to prep that crowd to be like, "Hey guys, we need you all to continue singing when we turn this music off." That was just natural. And you could see the look on Copeland's face. Like when he looked at the crowd, he was like, "Holy shit." And he kind of like was like louder. You know what I mean? He kind of gave him that little signal, like, "Louder, let's go." And
Hmm.
dude, it was one of the coolest moments. I was like, that was fucking awesome. Toronto is just, it's such an awesome place.
Yeah, man, and it was an excellent match. Really loved it. Super enjoyable. It's the way I would have ended a wrestling show. Not gone on an hour before the main event.
Yeah.
But it was great. I loved it. It was just phenomenal. I want to make sure I didn't leave anything else out in my notes. I loved how fitting it was for them to bring a ladder into it, obviously with their history.
Yeah. The whole
So I
thing was
actually had
tables, ladders, and chairs. All three. Yeah.
So I had this really funny thought. Like, what if this isn't their last match? Like, what if? Because like Copeland says he wants to move on, but I could totally see Christian Cage coming out
Oh, yeah.
and being like and challenging him to a TLC match. Could you imagine
Oh, the jeez.
Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage in a TLC match? Like
I mean, that
that's
basically was, there was tables, ladders, and chairs in it. I don't know.
well, no, but you have to do the ladder spot where like you have to climb up and get the belt. That's what
Yeah.
makes it a
Oh, I see
TLC.
what you're
So
saying. Okay.
yeah, I would have them do. I mean, like, I don't think they could call it TLC because of the copyright with WWE, but you could just say like, "Hey, we're gonna have a ladder match," and he's like, "And there's gonna be tables, there's gonna
Yeah.
be chairs. We're gonna go back to our roots, and we're gonna have one last match." I could see them doing that. Like, that's just my thoughts on it. I mean, maybe we'll see what happens, but I could see Christian Cage coming out and being like, "Hey, you had to handcuff me, and like we both had backup, but you know what? Like at this point, it's not even about the title; it's about my pride. Like, let's have one more match, and this time I'm dead serious. There won't be anybody out there. It'll be you and me in a TLC match, and I think that's what I would do. I would do it at Dynasty. I think I think the name Dynasty itself would be a very fitting name for that match.
True. True.
And they're so creative with ladders. Like I like the upside down ladder spot where Copeland flips it upside down and like front suplexes.
Never seen that
Uh,
before.
Never seen it before.
It was
And I was
amazing.
like, it's incredible. Like I've never thought of that, and that looks so painful. I'm
Oh,
watching
it
it like,
did. It definitely
like
did.
Jesus Christ, is he okay? Can somebody check on him?
Dude,
Um,
the spike to the nuts spot. Like, how do you do that?
so like this is what we talk about when we say WWE they make movies, right? AEW like they make fucking cinema. Like this
Yeah.
was just great, man. It's just so great. I loved it. Like I didn't even want to go to bed afterwards. I had to, but I was like, man, I want to run through a brick wall. I want to watch that
Yeah.
match again. But it was great.
Well, as you can see down below, Adam Copeland is your new TNT champion. He smashes Christian Cage in the nuts with Spike, that big spiky wooden contraption he had. Who he doesn't quit yet, but he goes to bash him in the head with it, which would have been absolutely murder on television. He does get Christian Cage to quit, and we have a new TNT champion, the two-time Adam Copeland.
And that's the show. That's the end of the show. Everyone
Yeah,
have a good night.
That's the end of Dynamite. Now, I wasn't able to write any notes for Rampage because my Rampage didn't record. Are you able to go through Rampage?
Yeah, I have
kinda
some notes for
flip-
Rampage.
We'll flip it around
Sorry,
here. You could be the host for the rest of the show.
So before we get into Rampage, I do want to run a really fascinating number behind you, Jeff, or
Okay.
by you, Jeff. And that number is 56. Do you want to know the significance of that number, or do you want to guess the significance before I tell you?
I'm going to say it's the amount of minutes of wrestling.
No.
No? Oh.
Okay. So 56 is the number. The number is important. What's up, Jordan? It's been
What
a
up,
minute.
Jordan? Long time no
What's
see,
going
bro.
on, man? Hey. So 56, right? That number is significant because that is the number of weeks left before AEW is officially around longer than WCW Nitro.
Wait, really?
56 weeks. Yep. We have 56 more weeks to go. And then we
That's like
can,
a year, right?
all-
That's like just over a year?
Yeah, it's a year and a month. It's a year and a month.
Damn. Okay.
Yep. They will have the AEW Dynamite will have been around longer than WCW Nitro. And we can all point and laugh at Eric Bischoff and crack jokes and tell him to just shut up. Because he'll have officially at that point no legs to stand. He already doesn't. But at that point, he will have no legs. So yes, 56 weeks. I think we should start making a countdown. When I came across this number, I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of insane if you think about it. You know what I mean?
That's funny. All right,
later,
Michael, have a good one.
How long was Nitro on for? So, I mean, how long was Dynamite on for? Like 5 years?
So,
And then plus a
6
year?
years-
So what?
6
like
years
little
and a
over
month or
6
two?
years? Yeah. Yeah. So yes, 56 weeks. In 56 weeks from now, which means ironically enough, like 100 episodes of the podcast from now,
Yeah.
we will be celebrating AEW Dynamite outliving WCW Nitro.
So somewhere around episode like 225-ish, I would guess.
Yeah, and Jordan makes a good point. Like, people think the Monday Night War lasted a decade. Like, Nitro wasn't. I mean, well, like, here's the thing. I mean,
Shit was
Nitro
like a
was on
year.
for like 7 years. You know, they launched in like 94, 95. They ended in like 2001.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like 6 years. You know, but yeah. So that was an interesting number, and it's a number that I will continue to remind you.
Maybe I'll make
as
you a
we-
little countdown or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Anyways, let's get into Rampage. I didn't take a lot of notes, but I did take, we can run through it. So first up, we open up with a video segment from Bullet Club Gold.
Oh, so
They're
good.
sitting around in the pool. They're chilling. They're not in Toronto. I love, which by the way, because I wasn't here last night, can we just say that I 100% called it with Darby Allin breaking his foot?
What do you mean?
Can we just, because remember we were doing the watch along for Big Business, and I was like, Jay White's totally gonna break Darby's foot. Like, I remember I said that, and you were
Yeah.
like, hi. I was like, Tony's probably like, do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we both were like, yeah, Jay's just gonna hurt him on purpose, and he'll be like, Tony, I got this.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I think I specifically said though, like, he's gonna break his leg. I was like, he's going to break his leg, and Darby Allin ends up breaking his foot. So they're sitting at the pool with a skeleton, and Jay White's talking about how he saved Darby's life. He took Sting's bat, dyed it gold.
Yeah, I saw that. Oof.
Crazy. Okay, so Coog actually says this, and I'm glad. I was gonna ask.
Yes, that absolutely was Juice. I was gonna mention it.
I totally saw Juice in the background, and I'm like, is he back? Like, or like, but they don't say anything with him, and I'm like, oh, that was weird.
100% he was
weird.
back there. Yep, that was that. We were supposed to see that and wonder. Like, everyone on Twitter was like, I thought I saw him. I can't believe that was him. But yeah, that was him.
Yeah, and I agree, Jordan. Like, I don't want to say I'm happy Darby Allin broke his foot, but like,
I
if
am.
that's not
I'll
a
say it.
sign from, like, look, I know some people, like, look, whether you believe in a higher power or not, like, I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to tell people what to believe, but like,
I'll fucking say it. I'm glad he broke
that's a
his fucking foot.
that's a sign if I ever did see one where God was like, no.
No.
Like, you are not doing this. And the funny thing is the irony that a week after him diving off a ladder through a pane of glass, it's him doing a very simple jumping off the top rope, like routine for Darby move that ended up breaking his foot.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how that works?
it is. Yeah.
But anyways, this was a great segment. Jay White says he's bigger than Everest, which I thought that was a great
Oh,
line.
such a good line.
Such a great line. And yeah, the Bang Bang Gang, they're talking about the Acclaimed, and like again, just like it was kind of ridiculous that the Acclaimed trusted them, because the Guns are like, it's like, Billy, we've never gotten along. Why did you think this was going to work out? Which was great point. But no, I really enjoyed the segment. I love that they're like, Darby, be careful, and the skeleton's going down the slide.
Dude, that was so funny with the skeleton, and it was like Darby on Everest. Oh, everything about this video package was great.
It was, and it's like I said, like it just everything feels like it's a big deal right now. And Jay White is just a star as well, and just this was great. Next up, the Acclaimed did a segment. They came out and they did not rap. They actually cut a promo. Now, Jeff, I think earlier you kind of dropped or hinted that you didn't enjoy this promo, so I kind of want to get your thoughts on it. So, what do you think? What do you think about this promo?
I fucking hated this, dude. I thought it was absolutely horrible. It felt like Max Caster was just out of his element completely. It was like they asked him to be a heel or something, and he was just like not ready for it or something. But it quickly became obvious they were just killing time to clean up the ring from the confetti. You know what I mean? But I was like, wow, this is bad. And even Coach texted me, like, he was like, yeah, this is bad. You know?
So yeah, I also, let me rephrase this. So I was not a fan of Caster's part of the promo.
Agreed.
I thought Bowens
Agreed.
I thought Bowens was really good. But that's the thing though. Caster's strength in his promo is the rap.
Also agreed. Yep.
Bowens' strength is that Bowen is a pretty good talker outside of like rapping. Like Bowens can't rap, at least I don't think he can rap, but Bowens can talk very well. But so like I don't think I was as negative on this as you were. I definitely didn't like it much. I think what they were trying to do was that they were trying to have they were trying to convey a sense of like, we're really pissed off about this. Like we're really going to fuck you up. Like we are pissed. You've hurt daddy ass. You know, you lied to us, you turned your back on us. And I think that's why they did this segment in a way that they did. I think they were like, no, we don't want to have Max do like rap. We don't want to do that. We want to be serious. And I don't know if I need Max Caster to be serious, because I don't think I could take Max Caster seriously. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Like, I didn't think it was even necessarily like content wise bad. I just thought the delivery was off from Caster.
I do agree that Bowen saved it there at the end. I thought Bowen's little part was fantastic, but the beginning, I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they were just trying to be more serious, but it's like, you've never done it that way before. You've always had Max rap, no matter what, whether it was serious or not. And so I just feel like they were trying to take it to another level, which like I can sympathize with you wanting to go in that direction, but I just don't think that works for Max very well. You're not playing to his strengths at that point.
Jordan says Max has been saying some heelish stuff, like he's the best member of the Acclaimed. Ooh.
I mean, that's kind of how Max has always been. Like, if you listen to Max, he's always said he's like the best wrestler alive and stuff.
Oh yeah, I
like
heard
that.
him say that, and I was like, what the fuck did he just say?
He's been saying that. You know what was funny? So when Sting retired, the Players Tribune did this thing for Sting. We had it in the Discord where a bunch of people left like voicemails for him. And like Caster's is so bad because it's basically him for like a minute and a half just saying like, hey, like you beat us once in the ring, but I'm the best wrestler alive, and you know, you're retiring at a perfect time because you won't ever face me again, and I would totally kick your ass. And I'm just like, he's like the only person that does this, right? Like he's the only person that's like working during these like voicemails. And it was kind of funny because of how like almost cringe it was. But it's just like, that's just who Caster is. Caster's on Twitter like trying to stir up drama these days. He's trying to piss off as many people as he can. He's trying to be like he's just trying to be that kind of guy, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what he's trying to do. And I don't think he succeeds most of the times with it. Personally, I mean, I love Max Caster and I love the Acclaimed, you know what I mean? But like, I think that Max is best suited in the role that he's been doing well in, which is, one half of this excellent tag team and someone who can do really great rap promos. You know what I mean? I think that's his strength. So
Yeah.
like, I would stick to that strength. But alas, that is what they had this segment shape out to be. I would assume we have a title unification match at Dynasty. That's my assumption.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah. Next up, we had in this underwhelming tag tournament, so I'm watching this tag tournament, right? And I came to the conclusion, I have an opinion about this tournament, and the fact that the first round being called a quarterfinal, something about it just annoys me because it's like it implies that you've made it through this tournament. It's like we have reached the quarterfinal. It's like, bro, this is round 1. Like,
That's
come on.
sad. That is funny. I didn't think about that. Yep.
But so anyway, we had a tag tournament, Best Friends versus the Don Callis family. In what I thought was a good match, a good solid match. Orange Cassidy
Yeah, it was really
and
good.
Trent pick up the win. So I actually wrote in my notes for this match a description for this match that I think is very fitting, and that because it factually is that it was a Rampage tag team ass match.
Yeah.
This match was good, not great. It didn't last too long, but it lasted just long enough where it was time to get out. And it was smack dab in the middle of a Rampage. And I think that most Rampages have these kinds of tag matches. So I'm coining that term where this was a Rampage tag team ass match. And it works.
I'm okay with that because I agree with that.
Yeah.
Kyle Fletcher looked incredible though. I mean, my God, that dude's awesome.
Oh, for sure. For sure, yeah.
We need to get him back with Will Ospreay to get some of that charisma to rub off a little bit.
Yeah. Next up was Shibata in a squash match versus Kevin Matthews. I mean, you know how I feel about squash matches. I actually would have cut this match to give more time to the main event, but that, alas, was what they did. Next up was the quick little backstage segment, once again with the sports presentation that I just love. It was Adam Copeland celebrating his title win, popping some bottles with I almost jokingly wrote like with jobbers, but then I
Yeah.
realized Orange Cassidy, Trent, and Daniel Garcia were there, so I was like,
Yeah.
no, let's not write that in the notes, because at first it looked like he was just celebrating with like Dante Martin and not that
Yeah,
Dante was a jobber. It was gonna be a joke, but yeah, so I just thought it was funny. But it was a cool little segment again. Love the sports based presentation. After that, we had Konosuke Takeshita versus Rocky Romero,
So good.
Azuka, which was really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was
Cool.
great. I mean, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I'll say Coog absolutely loved that match. He was like, "My God, this is wrestling heaven."
Mm-hmm. It was a great match. I mean, it was just really well done. I mean, Takeshita is great. Rocky Romero, the Forbidden Door, underrated.
The literal forbidden door.
The guy that made it all happen. Really, it's like he's number 1, Tony Khan's number 2.
Rocky Romero actively works for 4 different companies in 4 different countries, like Mexico.
And he's
wild.
And he's a front office guy in each company. I'm
Yep,
pretty sure.
that's what I mean.
He works in
Yeah.
front office for all of them. Like, it's crazy. This is great. I loved this match. I thought it was awesome. And then after that was the second main event of the night. A street fight with Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart and Sky Blue. This was once again I love this main event. I thought this was great. I think that it was I don't want to say it was overshadowed by the I Quit match, but there were moments where I was like, man, running this match after the I Quit match is a little dicey. But I mean, I think overall, it was great. What's up, Sergio? What's going on, man?
Yeah, I loved that match, dude. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, Jordan says Konosuke is future champ. Rocky is an underground legend, so smooth. Yeah, I agree. Agree with both of those statements. But no, this match was great, and I think we need to start having a dialogue about how AEW has low key started they've carved out a niche here where like these women tornado tag street fights they're always home runs.
They
Like they've
are.
hit
They
every
really
time.
are.
And I think that it's something that needs to start being kind of like a thing, you know what I mean? Like where people acknowledge that like, hey, this is something this company does really well. Like there are other companies and you know promotions in pro wrestling that have had great women's divisions. I can't think off the top of my head like of any division that was this strong that's putting out this caliber of street fight matches, you know, I don't want to say annually, but like maybe like semi annually.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like anytime they book these, they're always great. They're always excellent. Yes, Sergio.
Hell yeah,
AEW
Sergio.
is better than WWE. Completely agree with that. But no, man, I just thought this was just great spots, great moves from Sky Blue hitting the code blue on the announce table to Willow putting her through the regular table. The Statlander had Julia in the chair and does the backbreaker
That
to
was
the chair.
crazy.
Insane. And then Statlander, which I was actually kind of scared watching, because so Statlander does the 450 splash on, and Julia rolls out of the way, and Stat's knees just slam into those chairs. I was so scared for Stat because Stat has had both her knees blow out
I
at
know.
different times of her AEW run. So I would like she blew one out, like rehabbed for 9 months, came back, and then 2 weeks later blew the other knee. And I was like, I was so scared. We haven't heard anything, so I'm assuming everything's great.
Yeah.
But I was so terrified. I was like, when she landed that and like slid a little bit, I was like, oh no. I was so worried. Um, you know, and then we get to the finish. Oh, and then another spot that I really liked was Jeff, I'm sure you had a great time with this. Julia Hart decides to pour thumbtacks into Chris Statlander's mouth and gives her a good old little super kick fiesta.
Dude, so this was one of the few times that when the thumbtacks came out, like I squirmed a little bit, but I was like, yeah, because it really added to the match. And so Julia pulls the bag out and she dumps out the tacks staring at Statlander. So Statlander's like, okay. And she hops out of the ring and she grabs her own bag of thumbtacks and she dumps them out. I thought that was one of the coolest spots. I've never seen even the men do that, where one person pulls them out and the other one's like, oh yeah, and pulls out more. Never seen that. I thought it was incredible. And Julia pulling Statlander's shirt up over her head before she drops her onto the tacks. That was, it was just, whoever did producing of the match or whoever's idea that was, kudos. That was just icing on the cake right there. It was beautiful.
I mean, yeah, just completely. So it was a great match, with a very surprising, at least for me, ending. I did not expect Julia Hart to have Chris Statlander submit. I did not think that they were gonna have Stat tap out to Julia.
Oh yeah, me neither.
Which I think that that's just such a big moment for her. I mean, like you go from the cheerleader to this, you know, it's just like, and we've talked about how she's just improved so much over the like last year or two. And she's earned it. She's earned every moment of the spotlight she's getting, and she's just absolutely crushing it. She is just phenomenal. Just incredible. There was a really funny tweet that I saw on Twitter from her. And it was somebody. So if you go back to the pandemic era of Dynamite, Willow used to be an extra. You know how they would have like extras around the ring? So Willow was an extra back then.
Oh, in the
And
audience when it was COVID time? Yeah.
yeah, when they were at Daly's place and they would just have the front row be like a bunch of extras and
Yep.
wrestlers.
I remember.
So they
Pepperidge Farm
had
members.
yeah, they had they had Willow as an extra at that point. And at the time, cheerleader Julia Hart, there's a video that was shared with Julia on Twitter where it's cheerleader Julia like throwing her pom-poms at Willow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it's just like it's just a really like interesting little throwback moment that like means nothing back then, but now there's some significance to it. And so really cool moment on Twitter where the guy was like, "Hey, look, is this why you hate like you've always hated Willow?" And then Julia says, "I don't remember this. I don't remember this."
Oh wow. It's
And
like okay, I like it.
because she's not the cheerleader anymore. And Brody King responds to it saying like, "That was your previous life. You're with our you're part of our family now."
Oh wow.
I was just like, oh, it's such a cool little exchange on Twitter. I fucking loved it so much.
Yeah.
But Yeah, man, that was the main event, and it was a great episode of Rampage. Again, I still have my doubts about doing a 3 hour a week show. Like
I loved it.
I don't even know how we would do that. I guess we would just move our podcast to Thursday permanently because I can't go at 11 o'clock to 1 in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, so like
So
I don't know. That would probably change how we do the show even. But I mean,
yeah,
I don't know.
I think we would just shift our review to Thursday like we are tonight. We've had a great turnout. We were, just as many viewers as on a normal Wednesday night. So definitely appreciate you all for joining us. And Sergio asks, he saw AEW and why did they have to have AEW Dynamite and Rampage on the same night? That is due to the March Madness college basketball tournament that's going on. So on Friday, they had to move Rampage to Wednesday. And it was also an experiment, or, allegedly an experiment by the network to see what a 3-hour show would do in the ratings. And Rampage did very, very well with 500,000 being held for the third hour. So we may see a 3-hour Dynamite and Rampage go bye-bye. You never know. Because, I mean, if it doesn't go bye-bye, Rampage's logo and stuff definitely needs an upgrade. It absolutely looks ancient compared to Collision and Dynamite's new graphics.
I mean, I do think that's why they haven't done it yet. I
Yeah.
think unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on what you want out of AEW,
I'll-
I do think Rampage's days are numbered.
Give me my Friday night back.
I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, I don't usually watch Rampage live anyway, just because of the time slot. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie to you. Like, what I'll do is I'll DVR it, and I'll usually catch it Saturday at some point. Like, that's usually how I consume Rampage. Or I'll wake up Saturday morning, and as I'm getting ready for work, I'll throw it on my phone. Michael's back. What's up, Michael?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think Rampage is fine as it is, but I mean, obviously, it could be better. So I totally understand the argument for doing it. I worry for the pacing of the Dynamite shows.
Liber Savier has subscribed to us again for the 1 millionth time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lee Bear.
Dude, that is crazy that actually keeps coming up.
Maybe he just really likes Orange Cassidy. I mean, I really like Orange Cassidy too.
So that name that popped up, guys, has subscribed and unsubscribed like 100 times. I get an email every time somebody subscribes, and I have so many with that name. It's crazy.
Jeff,
Don't
you
know
gotta
what
get
it
rid of
is.
that meme stuff that goes on around Orange Cassidy. It's kind of
Yeah, I didn't know that was there. That actually shouldn't be there. It's a bunch of weird just emotes. I'll have to take that off. But I wanted to point something out here tonight. So over the course of 3 hours, Rome, a lot of people always talk about more women's wrestling. And I'm like, it's not always about the wrestling. Remember, there are the stories everyone asks for. So
Yeah.
tonight in this 3 hours, we had Mercedes Moné, Statlander, Willow, Tony Storm, Mariah May, Deonna Purrazzo, Thunder Rosa. I mean, this was half of the stacked roster. We didn't even see Britt Baker. We didn't see Jamie Hayter. You know what I mean? They're gone right now. But we have another like entire half of this roster that is absolutely stacked. And the amount of women that we got in 3 hours tonight, for me, I thought was fantastic. I loved it.
Wait, so what you're saying? Hold on. So what you're saying is you can. What do you mean you can book women in matches longer than 30 seconds? What are you talking about?
Yes,
I
Triple
got
L.
2 words for you. You know.
Well, I had a blast on that show last night. I know you said 3 hours is a little rough, and I can see week to week maybe struggling to pull it off, but I think Tony absolutely pulled it off last night. We had a blast in that third hour, to be honest. I don't think any of us were tired. Even I did have a Red Bull, but that was at like the very beginning. I was still going, so had a blast.
I mean, we'll see if they end up doing it permanently. I mean, time will tell.
Let's fucking
it
go.
definitely is you're gonna have to be more gonna be critical of the pacing. That's for sure.
Whoa, Kentucky goes down to Oakland. What?
Well, a lot of brackets were busted. Let me tell you.
Wow.
I'm
That's
glad
like
that you could,
everyone's bracket. Nobody picked that one. Jeez.
I'm glad that Jordan picked up on it.
Oh yeah. All right, man. Anything else you wanted to go over?
No, I think that pretty much covers it.
All right, well, go ahead and close us out, sir.
All right. Well, this has been episode 209 of the Broken Tables podcast. Thank you to everyone hanging out with us here tonight. Thank you to the Coog and Jordan. What's up, Jordan? It's been a while, man.
For real.
Come back more often. We missed you. Coach was here a little while ago. Michael was here. Sergio. Like, thank you to everyone hanging out with us. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe on your way out. Really appreciate it. You can also become a member of the channel, much like the Day Trading Doge. You get a really cool Lucha Libre mask, and you get access to some sick emojis, or emotes, whatever. You can join. I don't know. I forget what it's. I'm old. Not as old as you. You're like 95. Anyways, join the Discord where we talk about wrestling and other cool stuff. You can also follow. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Jordan. I get you. You can follow us on Twitter, where Jeff pays Elon Musk monthly, and I don't. So that's
My
difference.
year is up. It should be done today, actually, the 21st. Yeah, the year's finally up.
Let's see. A month from now, Jeff's gonna be like, "Oh, this blue check mark. I must have accidentally paid for it for another year."
Oh, I bet I fucking made sure I don't have it set on renew because fuck that.
But anyways, thank you for everyone hanging out with here tonight. There is no collision this week due to what's up, Doge? There is no collision this week due to March Madness, so we will not be back here on Saturday night. But I will be back on our gaming channel doing the Game Room podcast with my friend Dev Monday night around 8 p.m. Eastern. You can check that channel in the description down below. If you like video games and you like wrestling, honestly, two of the coolest things in the world. You know, we got you covered on both of them. So subscribe here, subscribe there. And then we'll be back next Wednesday for our Dynamite review. But until then, see you guys later.
Right on, man. I can't wait for the game room this week. There's actually like lots of crazy ass news going on in gaming, so I'll be in there.
Yeah, gaming's crazy. There's always just crazy stuff to talk about. It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like that Apex cheating. Did you ever look into that?
So I do have a little bit of an update. It was like, so it's funny because Respawn was like, there was an issue and we're working to make it better. And like people are like, well, wait a second. So there was an issue. Is it safe to play Apex? And Respawn's like,
yeah, that shit was wild.
Not a word. So yeah, that was crazy though. I was watching some footage of it. And it's like crazy. But anyways, yeah.
If you didn't see, real quick, a hacker took hacks and they put them on someone else's computer in the middle of a tournament, a professional player, while he was in the tournament. They literally gave him hacks instead of joining the game as a hacker, they gave them to him. And he was like, I'm cheating. What's happening?
He's like, I got hacked. Which I don't blame him. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know, like, what do you?
Yeah,
it's crazy.
He yelled. He's like, I'm cheating.
Yeah, he didn't want to get in trouble, which I don't blame him.
No, yeah, absolutely. But we will see you guys next time. Top guys, out.